This episode is brought to you by the members of the You Run Podcast Network. All of their shows and our own can be found at yourunpodcast.com, along with links to our socials and to our shop. So please head over to yourunpodcast.com today and find your next podcast experience. We are the home of entertainment.
I like this song.
You want to die tonight?
The dad jokes he tells sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. The passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Marc's overblown roundups. You run podcasts or a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled.
Yeah,
I'm really liking these random sound bites.
I am. The thing is, I search for sound bites and then I find a random one. I was like, where can I use that? I'll just slur it in at the start.
I'll just do it anyway.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to the interactive horror movie review show that is the You Run podcast. My name is Scott.
And my name is Mark.
And we are your hosts each and every Monday as we take you through the best and the worst horror movies that you vote onto this show. If you want to be a part of this show, it's really, really easy. You can go and follow any one of our social medias. Just visit our website, yourunpodcast.com, and all of the links are there. Or just search at You Run Podcast on any social media platform. You'll probably find us. If you are on Instagram, you need to go and find the show. And you also need to go and find Mark. He's at VHS from the Crypt and at Reviews from the Crypt. And I've just realised for some reason our nameplates are missing, which I am going to add back in if I know how to do that, because that's going to irritate me. If I don't do it, it's going to annoy me all episode.
I think by now people know who we are.
Yeah, but new listeners may not. There we go.
No, that's not our usual nameplate. What have you done?
I don't know. There we go.
That'll do.
Yeah, it's close enough. Anyway, make sure you follow Mark. You can also get in touch with us by sending us an audio DM or voicemail on Instagram or on X, or you can email us yourunpodcast@gmail.com. If you've never listened before, we'll give you a short synopsis of the movie followed by our review. Later, we're going to do some interactive features and a zombie-themed game today.
Yes.
The game today is awesome. We're going to bring you some facts and, of course, our all-important, life-shattering scores that you must all listen to and adhere to. If we say it's crap, you cannot watch it. We're really in the thick of remakes month, and so far it's been an average bag, mediocre, I would say, with the remakes we've had.
I mean, I don't know. I like Pet Sematary. You were disappointed by it, but I was a big fan.
Yeah, it's just been meh, I think. I have it on good authority that this movie is universally loved by everyone and will make me love remakes again. The only problem is anyone who's a regular listener knows that I am not a zombie movie guy. And even the original Dawn of the Dead, I had issues with. It's a
blasphemy. I call blasphemy.
Burnt out subgenre. Like, there's more life left in the Scream franchise than there is in this subdivision of horror, but I am ready to be proven wrong. Do you really?
Completely. Yeah, I massively do. I love zombie movies. That is my wheelhouse. Aside from trashy B movie horror, I love zombies. I just find them one of those ones where you can just tune in, zone out, and just have a good time. You know, get some exciting kills, get some terrible sort of situations that these people find themselves in, and constantly find themselves screaming at the TV saying, "No, don't do that, that's the wrong way." Similar to what you get with a slasher, I suppose, but I feel like it's a little bit more high octane when you watch a zombie movie. So I'm a fan.
Yeah, if you find yourself in the middle of a zombie apocalypse and have no clue of what you need to do to get through it, I have the answers for you today. Find a big ass cop holding a shotgun and follow him. Team up with 2 guys and a pregnant girl and head to the local shopping mall. Make a deal with 3 dodgy security guards that hold the place as their own, and then let in another group just to bolster your numbers. After this is achieved, you can chill and relax in retail bliss, hosting dinner parties, making home video porn, and all kinds of things like that. But this will probably get dull after a while, so maybe you should take your friends and like go and rescue the guy over the road who you've been playing chess with for the last couple of months via signs, and head out down to the coast to take a sail out to sea. Sounds simple? It's probably not. Today, we're going to cover all of that and more as we review Dawn of the Dead from 2004.
Time to nut up or shut up.
We covered the OG a little while back. I
Yep.
appreciated it for what it was, but I was really not on board. Like, it bored me to tears at times. To say I was less than enthusiastic to watch this is an understatement. I put this on, literally sat there and went, here we go again.
Yeah. Mistakes, man. Mistakes. I've been championing this movie to you for years now.
Yeah, and I'm pleased to report this was fucking great. Like, really fucking great.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm so glad you had that experience with it, because I was worried, to be honest with you. I was worried that not only was I disillusioned by its greatness, but the fact that you were going to come here and just shit all over this movie was really going to annoy me.
I was prepared to. Like, I was ready to take
I
like
know you
proper
was.
notes to take this down. And I started and I was like, oh, it's a zombie movie. Oh, it's going to do the same shit every other zombie movie does. And it does, but it kind of doesn't, because it doesn't focus on the zombies are like a side bit. Like, they're not important in this movie. And I really like that. A little bit like The Walking Dead. They're a subplot. The plot
Yeah, but
is
they
all
are in the
characters.
original. The whole point of the original Dawn of the Dead is they are a subplot to the movie, and I think that's one thing that this remake does focus on quite heavily. Is one thing that all remakes should take note of is it pays tribute to the original and doesn't sort of shit on its legacy, but it creates new and exciting ways to incorporate what was done in the first instance. Um, and for me, this is what a remake should be, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, the story's different, the characters are different, but the themes are the same, the homages are the same, the Easter eggs littered throughout are unbelievable. I just think, yeah, hats off, man. I think they've done a fantastic job with this movie.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I love our nurse, our lead character. She is kick ass from the very start. One, she works for the health service as a nurse, instant hero. And then, like, she has a shit job and her boss is a dick. And at no point does she show any sort of being phased by that whatsoever. And she like goes home after a shift. And like, I like the fact that subtly you can tell shit's going wrong as well. So you get like a brief snippet of a news report as she walks past a TV. You see a patient being brought in, and you see things in the ER starting to like ramp up a bit. But she's like, fuck this shit, I'm going home. Like, I love all of that, because it's like, I know what's coming, but this character doesn't. And I really like, in this, it's done so well. And I was like, that's so great, because she has no fucking clue.
You see, I don't know. I mean, yeah, she clearly has no idea of the fucking warpath that's coming in her way. But I like the way that they picture it as she's aware and she's very switched on, and she can see the stuff unfolding around her. Obviously, she doesn't know the gravity of the things that are actually unfolding, but it's letting you know instantly that it's similar to what they do in Shaun of the Dead. Shaun sees all of these snippets of situations unfolding, and he's aware of them when nobody else around him is.
Yeah.
And it's that moment where you're like, yeah, she's going to be the hero. She's going to pick up on everything that's going to go wrong.
Yeah, and I really like that. And I like that when she gets home, like, she goes in, she spends some time with her husband. They're watching the telly. The telly goes off so they can have sex, and they go to sleep. Before she goes in, she meets the little girl in the road who's the neighbor's kid who she knows. And it's the perfect setup. It sets up this perfect little suburban town for them to destroy it in the most visceral and shocking way ever. This opening, I absolutely adore this. This little kid is terrifying.
Yeah, for me, this is one of the best cold opens to any movie, period, let alone just this movie. One thing that I do want to touch base on with you before we go any further is the zombies themselves. Like, this is a remake of a movie that is grounded in slow zombies. I mean,
Boring
that's what
zombies.
it is.
Yeah,
No,
boring
no,
zombies. Yes, boring, slow, stupid zombies. This zombie has proper rage virus. I can run the same speed as Usain Bolt, and I'm intelligent, and I can open doors and shit. Like, these are the zombies that are actually scary. This movie
yeah,
gets it
but I
right.
mean, the original movie franchise that it's copying spawned that. They invented that. You've got Bubba in Land of the Dead, not Bubba in Day of the Dead. You've got the one from Land of the Dead who is intelligent and incorporates this horde to march through this water. I think without the originals, you wouldn't have this. I know that's going to be a repeated product from me throughout this review, but it's just such a varying contrast to what we're used to. You're going into a Dawn of the Dead remake, you were not expecting 28 days later rage virus zombies, and for a lot of people, it put them off. And I know when this movie first came out, there was a lot of kickback to that. For me, I personally found it fantastic. I think it massively upped the ante for the stakes.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the rage zombie viruses from 28 Days Later. Anyway, I just wish they would be zombies rather than rage virus things. But hey, that's its own franchise, and you can't compare the two. I just wanted to know where you were with it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And I love it. Like, you get it instantly with this little kid. Little kid sat in the doorway, and like the husband wakes up. He's like, what are you doing here? Like, are you okay? And like, he gets up and she attacks him and like rips his throat out. And I, I love the fact that the nurse is like, oh my God, like, you've done this to my husband. And then she just proper punt kicks this child down the hallway. Like, I laughed as this kid tumbling backwards. It's like, bit brutal, but yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah, man. But I love the way that that kid jumps up in the hallway as well when they kick her back. And she just like
Yeah,
Spider Man, and she just comes
yeah,
charging at the door. Because I suppose that's a real first instance where you get to realize how fast these zombies are. Because she's quite slow up until that point. She creeps in like an actual zombie from the original, and then it's the kick back in the hallway. She jumps to her feet and just bombards the door. And when the husband himself turns, that is just epic.
yeah. I think the husband turning, like the speed that he turns, is what makes it so good. Like, he's
Yeah.
bitten. She tries to stop the blood. She tries to call for emergency services. Nothing's working. She turns back round and he's up, and his eyes are like gone all this glistening goldy color. And he's like, ah, I was like, yes, perfect.
But the thing about that as well, which I think this movie handles exceptionally well, is the actual infection itself. It's how they do a really good job of handling the balance of how some people turn faster than others, and they stipulate that it's not the bite that turns you. The bite's what infects you. That's what kills you, and then you come back. The bite
Yeah,
revives you. But like depending on location of bite, like people get bit on their arm, they can survive a couple of days. But you
yeah,
get bit on the neck bite. He didn't die from the infection. He died from bleeding out due to a cut on his neck, and then
yeah,
instantly died. Then he came back because the infection was in his system, and I think that's a really, really good way of handling a zombie virus infection without causing convolution into terms of time frames depending on characters. And that's one thing which I hate to go back and nitpick about the original, because for me that's a god tier movie. But Scott Ranger in the original,
yeah.
he
The guy
was
who takes
hung.
8 days to die.
Yeah, and he took 12 bites to the legs in various locations and things like that. And it's like he only survived as long as he did. And I know they tried to do away with it by saying, oh, he's a tough son of a bitch. I've seen him do this, this, and this. And I get that. But realistically, the only reason he stayed mainstay was because he was a main character. And I think
Yeah,
that's one thing that tends to bother me a lot in horror movies, in zombie movies especially. They do it quite a lot in The Walking Dead as well, which was something that annoyed me later on in the series. People would get bitten and then stay around for much longer than a lesser known character would do. So I think the way that they handle it in this story here is perfect for me.
Yeah, they always hung around a bit too long in The Walking Dead unless they were near Carol, and then she took them out to look at flowers and killed them before they even turned. she, um, the nurse escapes her home, drives away, ends up crashing, and drags herself out of the car. And one thing I really like in this is that she has nothing on her feet. So they make a point of just showing, they don't emphasize it, but you notice it as soon as she gets out of the car. And instantly I went, you're fucked. Like, you are in such a bad way now. You're crashed. Your car's knackered. You got nothing on your feet. You're wearing like the thinnest clothes you could possibly have on. You're in so much trouble until she meets Ving Rhames from Pulp Fiction. Then everything's
Yes,
fine. What
legend.
a legend. Yeah. Like
He's
I
not my
love the
favorite in this movie, but I do like him here.
no, my favorite is Phil Dunphy because he's in this movie too.
Which one's Phil Dunphy?
From Modern Family. The dad from Modern Family.
Oh, yeah, Ty Burrell. I don't know what his
Yeah.
name is. I've never seen
Yeah.
Modern Family. Is that his name in Modern Family? No, he's
Yeah.
a dick, dude. He's a dick. CJ is the best character in this entire film. His arc from start to finish, he's a true hero, man. I love that character so much.
And I've just spent, so when I bashed myself and I had my full, because I'm getting on now.
Can we just
and I
go back to what you originally opened that conversation with when you bashed yourself? Do you want to
Yeah.
clarify on what you mean
No.
by that, just for listeners? Or
No, when I had my full and I spent a couple of days doped up on the sofa, I watched the entirety of House of Cards. And the guy who plays CJ is a main character in House of Cards
oh,
throughout.
cool.
And he's great in that. And then, like, I didn't know he was in this. So I watched that and then watched this. I was like, oh my God, it's Doug. Because he's Doug in House of Cards. It's like, Doug is here. Doug's an arsehole. And then in this, it's like, Doug's an arsehole here too. This all tracks. It all makes sense.
Did you finish House of Cards?
Yeah, all the way through.
Kevin Spacey got kicked off for being a dirty little boy. Does it make sense that he gets executed off in the show?
Yeah, he had a heart attack off screen and died. The end.
Oh, okay. I thought he was like the movie poster of that. Like the advertisements was Kevin Spacey on the front cover. So like to then go on for multiple series after he got convicted, I was like, how are you going to write this one?
They done one series after, so he died. His wife was the vice president. She becomes president. You do a term with her, and then it ends. The last season was crap. Kevin Spacey was missed as much of a dirty pervert as he is.
I mean, he's still fighting his case, man. He's innocent until proven guilty, and by all accounts, I don't want to sit here and bastardize a guy because, again, there's no smoke without fire. But for me, he hasn't been convicted, so I can't sit here and say, yeah, you're an evil man without evidence.
No, there is that. Anyway, moving on. Ving Rhames takes young nurse girl. I didn't learn anyone's names in this. I probably should have.
I didn't, which is why I have the IMDb page up in front of me right now for that reason.
They meet this other group, which is the two guys and a pregnant girl, and like they have this conversation of like, oh, we're going here. No, don't go there. That's fucked. And they all decide to go to the mall. And I don't get it. The mall is the worst place you could possibly go in a zombie apocalypse.
I disagree. I don't understand why you would have this logic. The mall has food, it has supplies, it is literally everything. It's a one-stop shop for everything you would need.
Yeah, but it's big and hard to secure, and like I don't know. It just seems, it doesn't seem a logical place for me to go. But I like that. Again, this is just a homage to the original. They could have sent them fucking anywhere, but they went with them all. And this is where we meet the three security guys headed up by CJ or Doug from House of Cards.
Legend.
The way they deal with these people coming into their mall, I think, is right. And like I watched this with Lisa, and she's like, "Oh, why are they being so mean?" I was like, "Look, in this scenario, I probably would have shot all of them and sent them back down the lift." Like, it's you don't know who they are, you don't know how dangerous they are. Like for him to take their guns off them and then stick them in an area and lock them in made perfect sense to me.
Yeah, and this is one thing that I love about this in terms of it being a remake, because not only is this a remake of the original, but technically, even though we're not, we are kind of seeing this from a different perspective. If you imagine CJ and his clan being the original characters from Dawn of the Dead, and then
Yeah,
Tom Savini's clan being Anna and all her tribe coming in at a later date, you're like, it's almost flipped the narrative on its head. And it seems like they've done everything in their power throughout this movie to stay true to the original, but also give you a completely different flip on the narrative of what we've seen already. And I really appreciated them doing that. And it was just this moment in particular where they get there and CJ is stood there. It's like, yeah, that's cool, man. Like, this is now their version of what would have unfolded had Tom Savini's character not gone crazy with the face pies and all the rest of it.
yeah, and like I like this whole setup. I like the fact that they've got a couple of zombies knocking around that they need to go and mop up and clean up, and like Ving Rhames gets his arm smashed and like gets hurt, and like one of the guards ends up like who one of the guards who's turned, like they come down later and they shoot him, even though he worked with them. And he's like, I told him he should have come upstairs. It's his own stupid fault. Like this whole bit of clearing and securing this shopping center, I think is great.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what I don't understand why they took in the other group. Explain it to me. I wouldn't. Does that make me a bad person? Like I'd be like,
No,
no.
no, and again, CJ's right in this instance. He's like, no, this isn't happening, and it's only because he got taken out on the roof in that moment and got his guns taken off him that the other people who have recently come into the fold let the other clan in. And I agree. I don't think I would. I'd maybe contemplate the idea, but I'd be very skeptical about it. Whereas these are just completely opening the door straight away. I'm like, no. And even when they're wheeling the people in who come in from the van, you've got injured and bitten people, and I'd be like, no. And I mean, I say that from somebody who has vast knowledge on zombie apocalypse movies and source materials and books and comics and all the rest of it. So like, I feel like I'm slightly swayed towards the idea of kicking them out instantly. But even in that moment, I'd like to think, without any knowledge of the situation, I'd be like, one of them's touched you. You're infected in some way or another. You aren't
Yeah.
coming in.
Yeah, and I think I would. I really like the dynamic of the group that they do bring in. Like I love the fact you got the father daughter. I think they're a really cool dynamic, and he's one of the ones who's been bitten. I love the old lady, gangster
Yeah,
granny, but we'll talk
yeah.
about that in a minute because I know you don't like that.
No, I
Um,
love her. I think she's a great character.
I love the fact you've got the guy from Modern Family and the hot girl, like all of the like they're all so unique with their own little backstories. Like you could easily do this movie again and pick any one of these characters and tell the story that led to them all from their perspective, and it would be equally as good as the opening we
Yeah,
get for Anna. And
yeah,
that's what I really appreciate about this is everyone has got a decent backstory that we kind of understand just by what condition they're in when they get there.
yeah, yeah. Agreed, agreed. There's some really cool, well-established characters, and like you said, there is ample amounts of story that could be fleshed out with each individual one of them. And I think as a collective, I just think it's really well written. I think that's one thing that excels this movie above most other zombie movies is how intelligent the writing is.
Yeah, I really like the writing, and it was my favorite in the original. It's my favorite bit of this movie, and in both movies, they should have made it longer. This kind of, well, now we're all in and we're all settled. Let's enjoy the mall. Like, I love these scenes where they're like going shopping and they're having dinner parties and like they're making a homemade porn in the video shop. Like, all that stuff, I think is so entertaining. It's almost like fly on the wall. Like, how would people actually behave? Like, if you had free run of a mall and didn't need to pay for anything, like, I'd have an absolute blast.
Oh, exactly that. I mean, you've got ample opportunities to do anything you would want to possibly do. All your wildest desires could come true because that's the thing about a mall. That's why it's the perfect location. You have literally everything at your disposal. I love the cover version of Down with the Sickness as well over this section. It is so good, man. So good. And I listen to that song regularly, that cover version, as I'm like driving around. It's on one of my variation Spotify playlist things. And when it comes on, it makes me smile every time because it always reminds me of this movie.
Yeah, like, I genuinely like this moment is so good, and I just think it's brilliant. What I don't like is the whole baby story of the woman who's pregnant. I I,
Yeah.
I don't like it because I don't think it's handled as well as it could have been. And when we get to facts, I'll reveal how it should have been handled. We think would have been better. So you've got the girl from one of the first people they meet is heavily pregnant, and all she wants is a hospital. Like that's all she's been banging on about since she got there, and that's not happening. And
No.
how does she get bitten? I can't even remember how she gets bitten.
It's the instant in the water fountain at the
At the
beginning where
beginning.
Vic Rames falls in and cuts his arm.
Yeah,
She's the one who gets grabbed first. And again, this movie is so fucking clever at doing so. Is when people are bitten, not showing the bite, but it shows us like if they've been scratched or if they've been grabbed. Especially at the end with Michael's character, that was
yeah.
fucking flawless. But they do the same thing here with her character. Her name is Luda. Luda gets grabbed at the fountain, and then Vic Rame comes in and sort of. He's called Kenneth as well in this movie, which is just fucking so cool. Like, it's the most random name to give such a badass character. Is Kenneth, Sergeant Kenneth. But yeah, he comes in and gets her. But at that point, you don't know she's been bitten. You just think he's grabbed her on the arm, and the camera cuts away. But it turns out he did actually bite her arm in that moment. And yeah, that's basically how she meets her demise.
Yeah, and like she does the whole thing. They've tied her up because, or her husband's tied her up because she's going to turn, and then she gives birth, and then they send the granny because they hear her screaming, and the old granny goes up, gangster granny pulls out a Glock, like turns it sideways, and starts like popping a cap in his hat. I love this. I laughed so much.
I mean, the thing is, like, this instance is handled so well up until this point, which is what's annoying. Is like I mentioned to you about the slow depletion of certain characters due to variations on their bite. I mean, she got bit on her arm, so she was walking around freely within the camp for at least 24, 48 hours. We
Yeah,
don't know what the time period is within that montage, but she's there for the vast majority of it. Um, so you know that she's having a slow depletion from the infection. So her dealing with that and being pregnant and all the rest of it's great. And you see her die while she's tied to the bed after she really goes. And even at that point, she's still alive. And he's got her tied to the bed through her own free will as well. It's not like he's just like kidnapped her and tied her to the bed. And then she dies. And as well, they do a good job of subtly building up to that. They have this really cool scene where they decipher that the bite is the infection,
yeah,
and because they use the girl and the dad as an example of this, and they're going to go and kill him, and then that's when you see, I can't remember his name, who is the actual father of the baby, but he like listens in on the conversation, and you just see him slyly walk off in the background as if to say, "Shit, I know Luna's being bitten." So I think the build up to it's exceptionally well handled. The story progression of it's really enticing, but when it gets to the actual moment, it just all felt so out of context to the rest of the movie. I didn't like the handling of her death. I didn't like the handling of her birth. And then just to top it all off, we get this sort of like Detroit street fucking boys boys in the hood kind of shootout with this old lady, and it all I would quite happily take that segment out of this entire movie, and it would make it a flawless movie for me. But just as a spoiler for my roundup, this is what is gonna be the deciding factor in my overall score because I really hate this scene.
yeah. See, this is where it loses some points for me as well, and it's not the gangster granny bit. Like, I'm on board for anyone over the age of 75 turning a Glock sideways and opening fire on anyone. Like, I'm all on board for that. It's the handling of the baby, the fact that they do this big thing and they make you wait and wait and wait, and then they reveal that yes, the baby is a zombie, and then they shoot it.
Yeah,
I was so excited to have zombie baby. that's faster and stronger than normal baby. I was hoping that when they uncovered the cloth, it come out and like fucking had someone's throat. And when it didn't, I was like, oh, like just squandered a brilliant scare, a potentially fantastic kill, a moral dilemma of do you shoot the baby while it's hanging from someone's face? And instead you just went, oh, it's a baby. Oh, it's infected. Bang. It just felt so wasted and squandered that they built something potentially so cool and then just ignored it.
And I think that's my issue as well, is like there are so many elements to this sort of subplot that I do really, really enjoy. But I think the final execution of the sort of peak of it, the peak of the subplot, it just comes in such a strange ghetto way. And I don't mean that in an offensive way whatsoever, but it comes across as offensive because the character is black. They have the shootout like it is some sort of fucking turf war thing. And I'm like, that it just didn't sit well with me, man. I was just like, that's not right in my opinion. I just think that's really poorly handled. And it wastes, like you say, it wastes such a intriguing element of what could have been something kind of cool and different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know. The problem that I have with it is that I can't think of a better solution to the outcome that's already happened on screen. Like, I think the way they wanted it to go is the right way to go with it, but I just don't think it was executed very, very well. And every time I watch this movie, I always roll my eyes at this every single time.
Yeah. The subplot I think they done really well is when they make a friend.
Oh, friend! Oh, new friend! Oh, friend! Please be my friend! Oh, friend!
Oh, football friend!
Andy, the guy who owns the gun shop, who's the other side
Yes.
of the road, like that whole thing that's littered throughout this first 50 minutes of the movie where they see him and they're holding up whiteboard signs to communicate, and then some time elapses, and then you've got Ving Rhames playing chess with him, and they're just holding up where they move the pieces. Like, it's beautiful. It's so clever, so well done. And then like it takes a dark turn and he holds up a sign going hungry. It's like, oh, and
Yeah. The thing is
the
about this
plan
as well is like, oh, go on, sorry, mate.
the plan to sort of rescue him, I feel that should have happened much sooner. Like as soon as they knew he had no food, there should have been wheels in motion to work a way to either get him to you or vice versa.
Yeah, but you see, you say that, but what they do with the character of Andy is heavily showcase the vast sort of mass of walkers, or walkers is such a poor use of word when we're talking about George A. Romero source material. The vast quantity of zombies is like how it starts off, and because they're talking back and forth from building to building, you get to see quite a lot of exterior shots of the parking lot. And it starts off with like 4 or 5 of them in the car park. And then in the next scene, there's maybe like 10, 20 of them in the car park. And before you get to this scene where he's like, I'm starving, I mean, they're like shoulder to shoulder, just a horde of rampaging animals. And I think it's a really cool way to signify not only the passing of time, but the impending threat that is awaiting them on their doorstep. But not only that, but it's like you say, oh, they should have done something sooner, but you see this gradual increase of the threat outside, which makes the actual task itself of getting from point A to point B so much worse. And they do have a really cool way of saying how they're waiting for a helicopter, they're waiting for savior, they're waiting for that. And I suppose that's the most logical solution to go to as well. In that situation, you'd be like, someone's gonna come, because you don't want to admit your own inevitability. You don't want to be like, this is it. We need to sort of like, I mean, I think I would. I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, I would fucking be the guy. But like, I feel like even in the slightest inkling of this situation occurring, I'd be like, right, this is it. Bunker down. Let's fucking sort this shit out.
I knew you through COVID. You done that during COVID. You're like, it's the end of the world. I'm
yeah,
locked
man.
indoors. I'm fine with it. I can still order beer, My TV still works. I don't give a fuck. It's
Yeah.
the end of the world, and I'm happy with it. You were that
Yeah,
guy.
mate. I am that guy, man. I'll fence in, I'll protect my own, and I'll make sure that I'm surviving. Do you know what I mean? While you're all fucking brown bread, I'm there at the end of the world living the life of Riley. But that's it. You see, I feel like if it came down to it in this situation, I wouldn't be the guy stood there being like, no, someone's going to come and save us. It's like, no, save your fucking self.
Would
I
would
would
you
be the CJ.
would you make the decision that they make? So after the baby dies, they have this moment of, we need to do something. We need to go and save Andy, and we need to go and get the boat and go out to sea. Like this whole bit where, like, I'm going to call him Phil Dunphy because that's all I know him as. He turns around and, oh, what? So you want to just go and like go down to the marina and take my boat, and dangles his keys, and like they go, yeah. It's like, what? And then the next person's like, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to
Yeah.
do that. And he's like, you're fucking idiots. And then, like, the buses, the buses.
Bus wankers!
Loving the in-betweener references on this.
Where did that come from? Bus wankers? I don't know, it just felt right. You can see
Like that's what went through my head when I saw this was bus wankers, and then they do it up. And honestly, it turns. I don't know if you've ever played Fortnite, but for anyone who
No.
has, this is the battle bus from Fortnite.
You're too
like,
old to be playing Fortnite. You know that, don't you?
I have teenage children. Fortnite is a mainstay on TVs in this house. I see it probably 20 times a week, if not more.
Is it still a thing? Is it still? I thought it was one of those fads that had like come and gone.
No, it's still one of the biggest online games ever made. Still, like
Wow.
they feel like it's 100 people per lobby, and they fill like hundreds of lobbies all day, every day. So yeah, it's a
That's
massive
insane,
game.
man.
But the bus design in that is it's identical. Like when we do this episode, I'm going to release a picture of the Fortnite battle bus and the buses from this. They are the same bus. The only difference is one of them has a big hot air balloon over the top that flies you over the island.
Well, at least this one came first. That's what this movie's got going for it.
Yeah, the buses I'm on board with. The thing I didn't like was and yes, I've made this chainsaw that will cut them. And I'm like,
Yeah, that was cool, man. What do you mean you didn't like that?
it was just a stupid idea. Like you've used chainsaws, same as I have. They get jammed. They don't work all the time. Like you'll get a jam on a chainsaw cutting a tree. Like you put that into someone's bone, that chain is breaking. That chainsaw's fucked. Like find something better.
No, I disagree, man. I think this was very, very inventive. I love it. I love it. I thought it was a very cool sort of thing, especially that it came from Michael as well, because I do like Michael as a character. And he's like, hey, check this out. I'm going to woo you right now. Look at how awesome my idea is. I was like, yeah, you go, boy.
Do you like Michael because you are Michael?
I think I am Michael, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure who I am in this, but I'm definitely not Michael.
You're the guy who owns a boat.
I'm happy with that. I'll take that. That's fine. This is the guy making.
No, you're the old guy who likes to try on ladies' shoes.
Get in, loser. We're going shopping.
The rescue mission, or as I named it in my notes, Operation Dog Drop.
What the dog doing?
Yes, like this.
I like this a lot, and there's people on the roof who start panicking, or the girl starts panicking. The girl who's kind of adopted the dog, the one whose dad they had to kill. That they lower the dog down.
I just want to say now, before we get any further with this discussion about this topic, that pisses me off as well. They don't do a good enough job, because I've seen this movie a million times, and this was the one time I was like, right, I really need to focus on this, because they make a massive, massive deal about how her and the connection with this dog is such a fucking thing. They don't show that.
No.
In this movie, they do not show that. Like the dog comes into the fold when they find it in the like parking garage, which again, that fucking scene is awesome in the parking garage. But when they find the dog and they bring it back up, I was like, right, so let's see this relationship between her and the dog come to fruition to justify her putting everybody else's life in such a vulnerable state. They don't
Yeah.
ever.
No, like they lower the dog, and she goes full Donald
They're
Trump.
eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat.
And just like Donald Trump, she's full of shit because they do not eat dogs. And
No.
I don't know why they don't eat dogs. Like, they never explain why, but I like the fact that they're not interested in animals. They want humans. So like this dog drops down. And there's all these zombies and banging on. And this dog just kind of like casually walks, weaves in and out, gets over to go into Andy's like cat flap that he's made. And this is
Yep.
where it all goes wrong because he opens the cat flap, dog comes in, so do about 11 zombies, and they get hold of him and like they get in, and then the girl is a fucking idiot. My dog,
Massively.
like you've just seen, it doesn't eat the
Fuck
dog.
the dog.
Yeah.
I'm a dog guy, mate. I'm a dog guy. But in this situation, the world's gone to shit. I am not driving through 1,000 zombies to save a border collie.
No, but she does. She goes straight out there, straight out there in a truck, crashes into the store, goes in after the dog, and this then puts everyone else in the position where they're like, "Well, I guess we're doing the battle bus thing now. We weren't, but we are." Like,
Which is
we've got to
cool.
do
I
it.
like that. I like the way that it puts the wheels into motion and gives them an incentive to be like, right, go time. We've got to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
But again, it's handled well. Like they do the savior mission first before they do the whole battle bus thing. They I like this execution of going to save her from Andy's gun shop. I like seeing Andy sort of die, and I really, really love when he comes up back to the roof and he's like, you almost can see the change, you know, like he's coming up as if to write the note, as if to say, I've been bitten, I fucked it. But in the process of doing so, he just gets this bloody smudge, and there's still that little bit of focus left in his humanity that he lifts the sign up. Really, really cool. I like the fact that Vic Rames is the one that has to kill him off in the gun shop as well when they finally get through to it. But then, yeah, the journey back, CJ really steps up his fucking game in this moment. And this is where I'm like, yes, you are the fucking hero of this movie. Before he even does the fully most heroic thing he's ever had to do, which he didn't need to do at the end of the film. I love him in this moment. And it's when the guy falls down the sewer and breaks his legs. And he's pulling him back away from them horde of zombies. And he didn't need to. He didn't need to save him, and he's pulling him back and he's fighting him off, and eventually he just equips the guy with the broken legs with 2 guns. He's just dragging him through the sewers as he's just shooting him left, right, and center before eventually he has to just admit defeat. But it's that point of CJ where he's been such a hero, like, I'll do everything right up until the last moment where I physically can't do anything else. And yeah, it just really was that pivotal change in that character. And that's what I like about his character so much in this movie is he slowly he implements those moments throughout. And I think it first starts where they go down due to the power outage and they have to go turn the generators on in the parking lot. And you see him still having that little bit of sort of ego and like resistance to everybody. He's like, no, I'm not coming without a gun. They give him an axe and he comes in unwillingly, even though really you can tell, like, come on, man, you're the Rambo of the movie. You know you want this just as much as we want to see you do it. And he's so cool throughout, especially when he lights them all on petrol and chucks that Zippo lighter and they all just start burning. It's just fucking awesome, man.
He's brilliant. And the flip side, I love the fact that they always put something he does heroic and they flip it with the Phil Dunphy guy. Like, they get back up and they gave him a job to keep the door open to the escape route to the mall. And they get back up and he's closed it. And they're banging the fuck out of this door trying to get in. And in the end, it's Anna who opens it for them. And they're like, where were you? He's like, oh, yeah, sorry, man. And they're getting in the bus. CJ's like, when this is done, you and me are going to have a fucking chat.
Yeah, I'll deal with you later, motherfucker.
And like, that's great. And like, the fact that they split people up, so they got the young girl and one of the security guards have kind of got a thing now, and they split them up and put them on separate buses, and they have a panic. So, oh no, and he's like, just don't fucking worry about it. Just get on a bus. I don't give a fuck what one. Just get on a bus. They drive out and they get like surrounded, and I'm like, how the fuck are you getting out of this? And CJ's like, right, pop the top, and he lights a gas bottle, and he's like, I'm just gonna chuck that over there. And like you see a zombie, like look at it, and the zombie picks it up and he's like, perfect, I can see it now, shoots it, massive explosion, clears the path, and like that scene is great because it shows the scale of the zombies. Like the zombies at
Yeah,
that point, like there's no way of getting through. Like even in a vehicle, there's so many, just the sheer weight of them
yeah,
will
they just can't push forward. And but
like
again, I like this scene as well in particular because not only is it homage to Land of the Dead and showing the zombie's intelligence as he picks it up, it also looks like a callback to Two Towers from Lord of the Rings with the kamikaze orc, which is fucking amazing. But not only that, but what I don't like about this scene, and it was a massive bugbear for me on this watch as well, particularly, is you can see the swarm. I mean, it is miles and miles of zombies. He
yeah,
throws up the propane tank and he kills them off. The propane tank explodes, but it doesn't explode that far.
no,
But then the next scene, it sort of cuts and they're driving through and it's sort of like desolate. And I'm
yeah, there's
like,
like three.
that the contrast between the two going from such a high volume to such a simple, it's like when you chuck a deodorant can on a bonfire when you were as a teenager, to having now a wipeout of what is like a desolate town from The Last of Us. I'm like, that doesn't seem like the two contrast very well. And I feel like there's a scene, I don't feel like there's a scene missing. I just think it was a poor next step in terms of the story. I mean, I like it. I'm on board for it. I'm nitpicking. And that's one thing that I do want to emphasize massively on this review. If I'm negging on something, I'm nitpicking. And it's only because I'm
Yeah,
trying to show that I do find faults along the way.
yeah, you really are nitpicking. Like
Yeah,
the thing,
massively. And I just did because I don't want to spend the whole review just glowing it up because I do love the movie, but it's just like there is problems. And I want to make people aware that there is problems throughout. And these are the ones that I find nitpicky when I watch it.
my problem is the bus that crashes. Like, how the fuck did you crash, you dickhead? You're going in a
But
straight
that's
line.
it again. That's it. That's my point. Like when they have the explosion, it's just like a desolate situation. I know they've still got the mass amounts of them following them, which does come to fruition as they crash.
Yeah,
But there is no need to be driving at the speed they do in the situation they're in. They're clearly a
no,
lot faster than the running zombies. They could have quite easily just steadily got their way through the various towns, but they don't. They're playing like fucking Fast and the Furious around this town, crashing through cars and all the rest of it. And it was inevitable.
yeah, and like they have the crash, and the only good thing that comes out of this is dickhead who owns the boat, Dumphy, gets his just desserts, and he gets it good as well. Gets
Yeah.
turned first, and then gets gunned down afterwards. Like perfect, exactly what his character deserved, and I liked it.
I would have liked CJ to be the one to take him out, though. I feel like Anna was cool because Anna's the final girl of the movie, and it was nice that she was the one to do it. But I don't feel like her and CJ's interactions, even though she had that moment where she's like, "Get the fucking gun out of my face," it was him and CJ that had that constant back and forth, and I would have liked to have seen CJ be the one to wipe him out in that moment.
Yeah, I think from here, like this very end bit is they kind of do it really easily. So they reach the marina, they all get overwhelmed, and CJ does his "I'm going to be a hero" bit again, and he's like, "You go, I'll be there in a minute. Let's light some more. Let's light some more propane tanks and
But
blow up
even
some
then,
more
though, like
zombies."
even his moment, like I feel like he was 100% he convinced he was getting out of that situation. I don't feel like he sacrificed himself. I don't think he gave
No,
himself up willingly. I think he thought, look, I can hold these back long enough and then catch you guys up to the point where he even says, "Oh fuck,"
yeah,
where he gets overrun.
it's like,
And I like the callback where he's measuring the propane tank earlier on in the movie to be the propane tank that he uses to blow up the bus. He's a legend, man. I fucking love him. And every time I watch this movie and I see his story, so apologies, I just got that excited. I just manhandled my microphone.
What are you looking at, butthead?
I do apologize. I've got a weird setup tonight. I'm staying away in a hotel, and usually my mic's on a stand up here. Now it's on a desk, and I got very handsy and just completely wiped it out. I do apologize.
Yeah, so what you're saying is you need to like sit on your hands.
Kind of, yeah. I just didn't think it was as close to me as it was as I did the wipeout thing and just wiped everything else out on the desk.
Um, but yeah, like he takes out the zombies and they get this bit. They all load on the boat, and then Anna's there, and it's Michael is the guy who's been scratched, who's the guy who's kind of the voice of reason throughout. She's like, "Come on, get on the boat." He's like, "No, I don't think I will," and he shows his arm, and they have this really sad moment, and then he's like, "I might just watch the sunrise." And as they sail away, he shoots himself. Like it's a sad, it's a bittersweet ending because I
Yeah.
quite liked him. He's a bit of a nothingy kind of guy, but I quite like
He's
him.
just an everyman, isn't he?
Yeah,
But I do like the way that, like, when he gets bitten, again, we talked about it earlier, they don't show the bite itself, but like his rage in that moment, especially with considering how close he was to Anna, he loses his shit in that moment. He's like, "What the hell were you doing? Where were you? Why was you doing that?" And obviously, she went back to get the boat key, but
yeah.
that cost him his life. Her going back and doing that cost him his life because he had to put himself out there to drag her back onto the bus, and in doing so, he got himself bitten. Um, and like, did they do a cool job of showcasing his rage in that moment? You're like, whoa, you've been such a calm and collective dude throughout this whole movie. You've now just completely lost your shit unnecessarily because she saved the
But
day by getting the boat key. But it turns out that's because he was bitten by doing so.
yeah, and I think if you're bitten and you realize you're fucked, I think that's a very good time for you to get a free pass to lose your shit and not
Yeah.
be very happy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that's about all I want to say in review. You happy for us to go to a break?
Not just yet. No, I like to talk about the found footage end credit sequence, which is fucking mega.
Uh, confession time. The movie ended. They went to the sunset. I turned it off.
Oh, dude, no, they have this cool thing. So, like, as the credits are rolling, they're on the boat, and the security guard who's with the girl, he finds creepy dude's camera, and then like they have this weird segment where it's like bit of film, and then it's a bit of credits, and then a bit of film and a bit of credits. This goes on for about 40 seconds, maybe even to a minute.
Oh
Um,
man.
yeah, it's really cool. It's honestly, it's really go back. Trust me, it's worth going back just to watch. So they find the camera and they start looking back at the footage, and he's got like this whole boats and hose things where he's got all these strippers on his boat and stuff like that. And then it shows them getting to the island. They film themselves throughout as they're trying to get to the island and running out of water. They find like a stray boat which has got like a zombie head in it in like a fucking cooler box. And then they get to the island. And when they get to the island, they think it's desolate. They all get off board the boat, and then just this mass zombie herd just sort of like comes from the trees. And then they drop the camera on the floor. You hear a lot of screaming, and then it's credit rolls, and that's it. Dude, honestly, it's so cool as well. Yeah, like that end credit sequence is fucking awesome. And then the actual Disturbed Down with the Sickness song kicks in, and you're like, fuck.
You know, I am the person who will always wait till the very end of the end credits, but I literally went, that was great. Really likes that. Turned it off. What a
Yeah,
dick.
man. Yeah. I mean, it only kicks in like 10, 20 seconds after the initial sort of sunset cutscene.
Oh,
You think, oh, that's done.
literally the sunset ended and I went dunk and literally
Yeah.
turned
Yeah. If you'd
straight
hung
off.
around for like 5 seconds, mate, you would have caught the rest of the movie. Yeah. There's like a good sort of 2 minutes afterwards where they do the whole found footage camera thing as they document their journey to the island. And then when they reach the island thinking they've reached paradise and stuff, yeah, it all just goes to shit again.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, I'm taking a break now because I'm annoyed that I've missed half the fucking movie.
I do. I don't know that anyone
Audience,
else does.
I say something that comes across from the movie.
I don't always remember what you're quoting from the movie,
Me neither.
but there's been a couple times where I've gotten to what you were going to say ahead of you, so that's good.
The Dewey Pod Monster podcast is something truly unique. Hosted by John and Sean, this show brings you everything you could possibly want about consumption, whether that's craft beers, TV, film, video games, or just general banter. These guys nail it every single week.
Yes, couldn't have ninjas, throwing stars, headbutts, ear claps, nunchucks. The word ninja and kids stuff.
Well, if the world of VHS is your thing, the only place you can go is Video Tasties. Hosted by Gareth, this show brings you everything. Live watch-along parties with special guests, deep dives, behind-the-scenes footage, and of course, a look at his fabulous VHS collection. For these and all the other members of the You Run Podcast Network, head over to yourunpodcast.com, your home of entertainment. So make sure you go and check out yourunpodcast.com. On there, we've got all of the members of the You Run Podcast Network. We've got links to all of them. And I just kept going because Mark went for a wee and now he's back, but I've kept going anyway. Mark uses the ad breaks to go for a wee, and normally we pause recording, but I thought I'd just roll with it.
I know. I saw the number still ticking. I was like, what's this dude doing?
Yeah. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com. Go and check out all the other members of the You Run Podcast Network because there's so many on there. There's so much stuff that you're going to love. And yeah, now it's time for Mark's recommended account of the week.
Yeah,
It's showtime!
oh, dude, don't stop that. That's awesome.
It's showtime. Let's do it.
Yeah. Right. So this week's recommended account of the week, again, stepping outside of the norm, similar to what I did last week, we are going with James Norbury. James Norbury, I to be honest with you, I don't know very much about James Norbury apart from the fact that he is a New Zealander, I think. But him and his friend are recreating the trek from the Lord of the Rings movies. So they are setting off from the Shire and traveling all the way to Mount Doom, which is an actual walk. It's an actual walk in New Zealand, and they're going along the filming locations. These two guys are doing the actual walk that Frodo and Sam did in the movie, barefoot as well, I might add. And they're stepping off in various film locations along the way, and they're documenting their journey, and you can follow them on Instagram and check how they're doing. It's so fucking cool, man. Whether you're a Lord of the Rings fan or not, these dudes are machines. Are literal machines. They are putting in some serious mileage. It's a 500 km, which is what's that in miles in like actual language?
400 and something miles. It's a long way.
It is mental, and they're trying to achieve this within 2 weeks. And they're literally logging it day by day on their Instagram account. Like today, day one, they're filming the footage of where they've done, where they've been. They're meeting some fantastic people along the way who are giving them food and refuge and stuff while they're on this task. Very cool. I don't think they're actually doing this for charity. I think they're just massive fans of Lord of the Rings and just want to set out on this journey. And it's really interesting, regardless of whether you're a fan or not. So I would strongly urge you go and check out this guy, support them and what they're doing. And you can find him on Instagram at James Norbury _ And that's it. Yeah, that's my recommended account of the week. It's a big following for me. So
and you picked an account that I actually already follow. I've been following this.
I saw your smirk when I said it. I was like, I'm surprised you know this one.
Yeah, no, I stumbled across it. It popped up on like my just doom scrolling. I was like,
yeah, it did for me originally. Yeah.
And like he's because I quite often find Lord of the Rings memes, normally mocking Lord of the Rings, and send them.
I was going to say it probably popped up in your reel because you send them to me just to take the piss.
Yeah, and then I found this. Was like, oh, that's really cool. I don't know why I didn't send it to you. Actually, I just followed it. I was like, it's my secret. I won't tell him. Let's do some facts for this. So, when Ving Rhames heard that the remake of Dawn of the Dead was being done, he personally tracked down the producer and demanded a part in the movie.
Why? What's his connection to the original? He has no involvement in that.
Huge fan. He's
just a huge fan. Because the thing is, as well, with Ving Rhames, he went on to be like the guy in every fucking B-movie zombie film ever.
Yeah. So, like, as soon as he found out, he didn't like get his agent or get his people to do it. He personally went, "Who's the producer? Where is he?" And he literally went and tracked him down and went, "Excuse me, I'm going to be in this movie." That's apparently how the conversation went. It wasn't a, "Can I, do you have anything?" It's like, "I am going to be in the Dawn of the Dead remake," which is awesome.
That's very cool.
Now, when Anna stitches Ving Rhames' arm back together after he's done, they had a professional nurse do the stitching for the close shots to make it look proper. So when she was stitching the prosthetic, she actually stitched through his actual skin. and she stitched the prosthetic to his arm. Now, he didn't say a word, and the director didn't realize. The director afterwards, when he called cut, went, "That's awesome. That prosthetic is so gnarly. Like, it's bleeding and everything." And Ving Rhames like, "No, she just like stitched the prosthetic to my arm."
That's really, really cool. That shows his dedication as well. Like, I'm really surprised as well because, like, as much as I love him in this movie, I just thought he was just a bit player. Like, because he's literally the most recognizable cast member in the entire film. Nobody else. I mean, I know we talk about CJ, and I know you talk about the guy from Modern Family, but Modern Family weren't a thing when this film came out. CJ weren't in House of Cards when this came out, and I haven't seen anybody go on to do anything else other. I've never seen Anna, who plays the main character, in any other movie. I haven't seen Michael in anything else other than this film. So it's like, so Ving Rhames was the only real character I recognized. So yeah, that's wild, man, that he was that dedicated to that scene.
Yeah, the clip we played at the beginning, where they're in the elevator and CJ goes, "I like this song," wasn't in the script. He didn't realize they were rolling. They were all sat there, "I like this song," and they kept it in. So James Gunn had a massive amount of backlash, even death threats, when he got given this film to do. Most of the hate messages claimed that the hack who wrote the Scooby-Doo movies should not be in charge of Dawn of the Dead. And he
James Gunn did the Scooby-Doo movies?
Yeah.
I did not know
that. Heather Langenkamp was part of the production crew on this. She was part of the special effects team. So that's another one. Tom Savini, did you spot his cameo in this? Because he has one. Yeah,
I spotted him. I spotted Ken Ferrara, and the Scott Rigner. The original cast members from the Dawn of the Dead were all here, apart from the woman. I couldn't remember her name, or Flyboy. It would have been nice to see those two pop up as well.
Yeah, I like Tom Savini's though. Like, he's the county sheriff, and they're interviewed on that TV segment at the beginning. I thought that was really cool. The TV commercial they show for the Subaru. So the Subaru WRX, they're all watching the TV and you get that advert. That was the first advert that Zack Snyder directed.
Oh, was actually?
Yeah. So the zombie baby scene, this is when I said we'll talk about it in facts. The original idea for this was basically zombie baby was going to be born, would kill the mother in childbirth. Then the dad was going to pick it up. The zombie baby was then going to take out the dad and take out another cast member after that. But it was all cut before they filmed it. It was cut from the script because it was decided it would be too graphic to show.
I don't think it would have been too graphic. I think it would have just been too trauma-ish. You know what I mean? Like, we all understand the biological nature of a child, like a baby, regardless of whether you're a zombie or not. Like, babies don't move. And I don't think just because you're a zombie, you would then find the ability as an infant to then be able to walk and talk and crawl. Do you know what I mean? So I think from that aspect, the fact that it doesn't do anything is the most logical and digestible thing to do with the story. But overall, the story itself is bullshit. But I think, I'm glad that did get cut, because if we'd have had a whole like face hugger-esque baby thing crawling around, it would have even annoyed me even more, I think.
Yeah, I get that. I quite liked the idea. When Andy blows his head off, looks like CGI, right?
Yep.
It's not CGI. That was done all practically with a prosthetic head that they blew up. But it looks like CGI, where they've glossed it so much. Like, they haven't glossed it with CGI, but they've glossed the shot by fucking around with the color rendering, everything else. They actually made a practical effect look like it was done with computer generated. Like, just leave it. Would have been happy with a raw practical effect.
This is the exact conversation we had on the Fetus episode.
It is. Zack Snyder, he also has a cameo in this. So he is a member of the commando unit in front of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. So this is in the opening credits montage. He's one of the soldiers in a pair of sunglasses fighting the zombie horde right at the beginning of the movie. And I thought
never picked up on
cool.
that.
No. we're going to do a new feature, and I'm really pleased with this feature. So this is called What Are You Looking At? So I put this picture, if I can find it, this picture online. What are they looking at? Wrong answers only. There were so many people who played across all avenues of social media, and I picked the best. And what I've done is where they've suggested something is I found an image that is what they say they were looking at. So you get to see it if you're watching, and you get to hear me tell you what it is if you're listening. It's like dual purpose. I'm servicing absolutely everybody with this bit.
You're welcome.
Right.
Sound
So
bites from this. I wish I could go. There are so many things you have said on this episode where I wish I could just take them, edit them out, and put them together. You've said I'm servicing everybody. Something about a masturbation earlier on in the episode, which I pulled up, and you still didn't get what I was getting at.
I was just skimming over it. So the first one we've got is from I've Seen That One. And they said they're looking at Adrian Brody throwing gum at his girlfriend at the Oscars. Did you see this?
I didn't. No, I didn't. I don't watch the Oscars. I have never watched the Oscars, but I am a big fan to like the day after go and find out what's happened and everyone's run and whether Will Smith smacked anybody. So I kind of like it for that reason the day after. But everyone was like, "Oh yeah, he chucked his gum at his wife." I'm like, he didn't chuck his gum at his wife. He was going up to accept an award, and he didn't want to go up there with gum in his mouth. Like his missus was just, he wasn't degrading his missus by throwing chewing gum at her and be like, "Hey, slut wife, catch this." You know, like he was just like, "Oh, I don't want to swallow it. I don't want to chuck it on the floor." Oh, my wife would do the same. Like the shit he got for that. I was like, fuck's sake, social media, man. Just have a day off.
A normal person would have swallowed it. I would have swallowed it and just gone.
I would have swallowed it as well, but I'm not Adrian Brody and I'm not fucking preserver of life. You know,
No.
like
we got PFC Terry, and he says they're looking at Rick Grimes and their group. Now that is a crossover movie I would enjoy.
That would be an interesting showdown. I don't feel like for 1 second against Tyrone and his hammer, they would stand a chance.
No,
Tyrone or Tyrese? It's Tyrese, isn't it?
Tyrese, yeah. Mondo Street Social went very political and went with the US stock market, which is in free fall at the moment. I
don't want to get political on the show, but I'm in such confusion at the moment because like I don't know what's going on apart from the fact that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are like being the two-face of Joker in America and just sending us into World War III.
Yeah, if you wait, we've got some Elon and Trump in a minute because someone else brought that up. We've got long-haired Kang, and they went with a larger-than-life lady doing star jumps.
Dude, man.
It gets weirder. We've got Matt L160 who said they're looking at baby elephant in pink Converse.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah. Found on the shelf pod, the president of the United States of America doing an ad for Tesla. And there it is.
What are these two doing?
Fucking up the world. They're a pair of idiots. The pair of them.
They're literally like I don't know, man. I've seen some of the shit. I saw that interview the other day with Vladimir Zelensky, and it was just sheer fucking awful to watch. The level of bullying and horribleness that went on within that room within the space of about 40 seconds. And that guy was like, "Oh yeah, you not wear a suit. You not wear a suit." It's like, fuck you. I'm not here to wear a costume, man. I'm like, I'm fighting a war for my people, and you're talking about whether I should wear a shirt and a tie. I was like, yeah, fucking too right, man. Who is this clown?
I without being too political, pair of dickheads. That's where I'm going to end that. Paranormal Misfits went with that one potato salad that was brought to the potluck that Debbie decided to spice up with some raisins. I'm not a fan. I like raisins, but I'm not a fan of raisins in potato salad or in curries. They don't belong.
Oh, no, no. You see, that's where you're wrong. Because when you get a curry from a chip shop, raisins are a necessity.
Well, maybe. All right. I think I'll give you that one. We had the Old Man's Podcast. What do you mean the Hello Kitty store is closed?
Do you know where that falls for me? Hello Kitty, Funko Pop, same thing, man.
Don't pick on another demographic.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If I was to collect the two together and I was to compare Funkos to something, that would be it. And I'd never thought about it until you just showed that image. And I was like, boom, that's it. Funko Pop is Hello Kitty.
And finally, my favourite one, not because it's the best, but because I fully respect the hustle to get shameless promotion for your own shit. And that's Nuke 178 Creepy Couture. That they're staring at my online shop. And there it is. So bit of free promo. I praise people who are shameless like that. Well done. We've got some Spotify comments that I want to go through. Becky, geez, Mark, you're going to give me a bad reputation. I'm actually a cat and dog person. Great episode, fun film, and I loved hearing from Joe. This was after the fetus episode.
Oh, when we branded her a dog killer.
Yeah, cat person, like angel of death to dogs. It's bad, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is.
So
she's
Lady
the Joseph
Crisis...
Fritzl of canines.
Lady Crisis Mary has been a little bit behind, so she's been playing catch up. So on our Bride of Chucky episode, she put, I'm a few episodes behind, but Scott, why am I not surprised you have a menage a trois story? I better hear this story on one of the next episodes! Exclamation mark. Then on Freddy's Dead episode.
Freddy's what?
Well, Freddy's dead. Freddy's dead. She put, well, there it is. There's a story. Thanks for the mental image. Also, this movie is shit, but I'll watch it. So yeah, I think what I need to say for that mental image is
You're welcome.
Let's just move past, man. I'm done with it. I'm done with it now. We're like
I
5
think
episodes in and it still keeps coming back. I just don't want to talk about it anymore.
it's hilarious because it actually gets more. That story's got more traction than some of our episodes. Let's play a quick game before we knock it on the head. This game is called Dollar of the Dead.
Yes.
So we're playing Dollar of the Dead. There are about 16 million movies that end of the dead. There's Dawn of the Dead, there's Day of the Dead, there's Land of the Dead, there's fucking Shopping Center of the Dead, there's I
Return
Once
of the
Made a
Living Dead.
Movie. Yeah, like
Children
they
of the
go,
Living Dead.
yeah, there's loads. But which ones are most profitable? So I picked a handful of these movies. We're going to start with Night of the Living Dead from 1968, which made $237,000, £994.
That can't be its standing mark up to this day. Like that
was
like what's
that's
the window on it? Because I need to know the facts of the game.
They're all initial theatrical releases. So in its initial theatrical release, it made just under $250,000.
Right.
So your next movie, whether you want it to be higher or lower, it's up to you, is Night of the Living Dead from 1990. Did that make more money or less money than $250,000?
That's a Tom Savini remake, obviously. That's definitely made more money just due to inflation alone. And it's a solid remake, to be fair.
It did. It made $5.8 million. Going back in time to 1978 to Dawn of the Dead, did that make more or less than 5.8 million?
Oh, that is hard. I'm going to say less, just due to the. Oh no, because I don't know. So when you say so that's like it's just its theatrical run. Like, what is the end point on that? Like, what is the start and end point on an inclusion on a theatrical run? Because I don't ever get this.
The start point is when it's released out to the world in all cinemas to the day it leaves the last cinema worldwide. This is its worldwide money it made at the box office.
Like films get like re-released in cinema all the time. Does it not include stuff like that?
No re-releases, just its initial release.
Right, I'm going to say less, but I
It,
don't feel like it should be.
it did. It made $159,882.
Shit, that was lower than Night of the Living Dead?
Yeah, it made next to fuck all when that was first released. Made all of its money
What?
through DVD or through VHS sales is where the money for that movie came.
Wow, that is mind-blowing.
Yeah, Day of the Dead. Did that make more than $159,000?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That was like big. That was like a big movie, I think. Even though it's not better than Dawn, I do feel like that was a big movement at the time. Because by that point, the traction had already hit with the VHS releases and the rental releases of Dawn of the Dead. Everyone had then sort of switched on to the greatness of Dawn of the Dead. And I think by the time Day of the Dead had come out, the stakes were so much higher, the practical effects were so much better. So I'm going to say higher. And just based solely alone on the shocking low reception of Dawn of the Dead as well.
It did. It made $5 million. How do you think Dawn of the Dead 2004, this movie, stacked up against that?
Massively more than 5 million. Massively more. This film was fucking epic when it came out.
It did. It made $102 million. Mega money. How about Land of the Dead?
Land of the Dead is less. I know that because it was a George Romero movie and not a continuation of the Dawn of the Dead remake. I don't know which one came first, actually. Do you have the dates for these movies there in front of you? I don't know if Land was after.
Land was after.
Land was after. It had Luigi Miyamo in it, which I know hell is going to come at me for pronouncing that wrong once again.
Linguini. It's a linguini.
I like Land of the Dead. I think it's a really, really cool flick. But I do know that is significantly less than the Dawn of the Dead remake.
It did. It made $47 million, so still made a ton of money. Diary of the Dead.
Even less. Is it Diary of the Dead? Yeah, Diary of the Dead is a found footage one, which is a cool movie in its own right. But I don't even think that didn't even get a theatrical release, did it? That was straight to streaming. Not straight to streaming, it was straight to...
It did get a theatrical release. It was a small one, to be fair.
I was going to say, it must have been selected theatres, because I only remember being able to see this on DVD when it came out. Cool movie, once again, another staple of George Romero's sequels. But yeah, no, it definitely less than Land.
It did. It made $5 million. And your last one, probably one of the most famous zombie movies ever, Return of the Living Dead.
Is based on the schematics, I'm going to say is less than 5 million, just due to the time of the release and the lack of enthusiasm for the sort of genre at the time.
I love the fact you're so way off base with that. It made $14 million.
Oh shit, man! Shit, that's surprising, man. So how can that make $14 million? Then Dawn of the Dead struggle so much.
I don't know. Cinema goers are just weird. In
they just
general,
want Linnea Quigley boobies, and that's enough to sell tickets.
That's pretty much it, and that's the end of that game.
Do anything that endangers his health again, I swear to God, I will put you in your fucking grave.
And I had to use a soundbite from House of Cards because I watched it recently. Not that I remember any of it because I was high as a kite on pain meds when I watched it. I'm going to let you round this up first. No, they were all used in quick succession. The first day I sat and I was like, I was kind of with it, but kind of like zoned out, and I was kind of like drifting in and out of sleep, sat on the sofa, like wrapped in blankets with like 2 pillows next to me in case I fell again. And I was like, I'll put something on the telly. I put Netflix on and House of Cards. I was like, I've never watched that. I watched an entire 3 seasons in a day. Couldn't tell you what happened. No recollection whatsoever. I literally just binged it, but yeah, I don't remember any of it. You can round this up first because you're going to go in depth on this because I know you love this one.
Well, I am, but in the same time, I'm going to try not to because I just get bullied for being excessively long with my roundups.
But before you start,
Hashtag tears for
hold on,
Oh, I'm
Mark.
sorry. Did I break your concentration? I didn't mean to do
That
that.
would be already.
Please, continue.
No, right. So I love this remake unconditionally. I think it is sort of. I'm always torn between whether this is my favorite of the remakes or if
it's mine.
this Chainsaw Massacre is a favorite of my remakes. And I know I always champion Rob Zombie's Halloween, but if I'm being honest with myself, it's probably a toss up between Dawn of the Dead or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I can never really find which one I want to side with, depending on what mood I'm in. But I'm sidetracking and I should be focusing on this movie alone. So that's what I'm going to do. So for me, I think the writing from James Gunn is phenomenal. I think he does a really good job of building character developments, entwining subplots throughout the mainstay of the story, bringing them not only full circle, but including them in a way that makes them feel vital with subtle suggestions throughout. Like the final girl, she's never always at the forefront of the movie. She's always
No.
as if she is a side character, but we know she is the main focus. They do a good job of setting up her survival instincts from the beginning with subtle suggestions from the first kill when her boyfriend or her husband gets attacked. She's going to escape, but just before she leaves, she glances at the keys on the side table, and even though she knows she's putting her life in danger to get them, she grabs a key, she jumps into the bathroom, she falls into the shower cubicle, etc., etc. And it's subtle instances like this that highlight how incredible James Gunn's writing it is throughout the script of this movie. Don't get me wrong, he makes vital mistakes which massively affect my opinion on this movie, such as the gangster shootout scene, which is just not only unethical in my opinion based on stereotypes and the way that it plays out, but it just feels so tonally off guard to the rest of the movie. I don't like they did this. I don't like why they did it. It just all feels very wrong, and that's going to be a massive factor in my overall score. The inclusion of fast-paced zombies as opposed to sticking with tradition, especially when you're making a remake of source material, I think could have massively fucked this movie. Massively. You know, this is a decision that you are stood there in the writer's chamber and you're thinking, right, we need to remake Dawn of the Dead. Do we stick with tradition or do we do something different? And I feel like this is one of those key moments where, had it been handled incorrectly, this could have really, really affected people's opinions. And there was a lot of people out there who did massively get affected by the change. And they were like, I fucking hate this. This isn't Dawn of the Dead, which is understandable. I can get why it doesn't work for most people.
Better.
But for me, this is better. This is better, yeah. Because the stakes are raised so much higher. And as I mentioned earlier, the octane levels of anticipation and stuff like that, times change, things move on, you know, and the threat levels are more prevalent. And like when I watch the original Dawn of the Dead now, I'm like, fucking walk in the park. Like, what are you guys struggling with in this instance, you know? And it doesn't affect my overall view of that movie, but I do watch that and I think, yeah, easy game plan for me. But watching this movie, I'm like, fuck, now things have changed. Now things have stepped up a level.
It's harder.
Now it's harder. Now we're playing on expert mode. And I like that. I do like that change. I think Zack Snyder as a director did a fantastic job with this. There's some variations of transitional scenes, whether that's a director's thing or whether that's an editing thing, where they do the slow fade from scene to scene. It just feels cheap. And I don't know whether that's a dated filming technique or whether that's something that still was bad at the time of the movie's release. But watching it back, I was like, ooh, that's dated, or ooh, that's lazy. I can't make my mind up, or whether it's just an amateur thing from Zack Snyder, I don't know. But those were one of the key elements that stood out to me when watching this movie this time around. I think the casting's great, especially considering the vast majority of them are massively unknowns. They all do a fantastic job of not only handling their own characters, but making sure that each individual moment they have on screen to make their character stand out in such an ensemble, they all do to the highest of levels. The score, soundtrack, again, fantastic. The utilization of Johnny Cash at the beginning, such a cool song, such a cool moment over the news bulletins as it goes through. The cover of Disturbed's Down with the Sickness, and again, the original Disturbed's Down with the Sickness at the end credits, fantastic. I don't know. I think the gore and the practical effects are done to a very high standard. You mentioned about some various scenes and some various kills used with glossy CGI moments. It never really stood out to me. I was like, that's CGI. That's fucking glaringly CGI.
Yeah.
So even though tweaks and twerks were made throughout, there was never a moment where I stood back and was like, oh, I wish that was done with practical effects, because I know that the majority of this movie was consistent with practical effects work. I love the introduction, not the introduction, but the utilization of bringing back previous cast members from the original to have their own bits, especially when Ken Ferrari, is it Ken Ferrari or Ken Ferrer?
Yeah.
Ken Ferrer
Yeah.
use the line when there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth again, and he replaced the character from the original movie who was the news bulletin guy. That was really, really cool. Scott Rayner, who then came on and did the captain of the Marine Corps thing, to see him come back to this movie was fantastic. I don't know. I love this movie, and I think in terms of remake quality, which is why we're here, it's remake month. When you're talking about the standards of what remakes should be within the horror genre, this for me is the manual. This is a manual of how you do it and how you do it right. Everything that they did and every decision they made and every change that they made to the original to keep it interesting and vibrant and fresh was handled so well without being disrespectful to the source material, whilst introducing new fans and engage. I mean, I saw this before I saw the original Dawn of the Dead. I saw this movie when it came out. I'd never seen the original Dawn of the Dead. I only watched the first original Dawn of the Dead last year. I love the original Dawn of the Dead more than I love this, because the original is fantastic. But what they did with this is phenomenal, in my opinion, and it is a staple of what remake should be, especially within the horror genre. It's not a perfect movie, but it's about as perfect as I think a remake could get. And I think if it had not been for the 10-minute segment with the baby and the gangster ghetto boys in the hood shootout, this would have got a perfect score from me. But because of that scene in particular, and that is the only really scene that does piss me off in this entire movie, and it's probably not even that bad. It's probably not even that bad at all. But because of how great everything else is around it, when I do see this scene, it just massively pisses me off, because I know the potential of how great this movie could be. That scene always stands out to me every single time. So for that reason, it's going to lose half a point. It's going to get a 4.5 out of 5, which is still fucking awesome for a remake. It's probably going to be the highest scored remake of this segment.
Yeah, our highest score you've given a remake, I think, ever. Forget this month, ever. I think that's one of the highest scores you've given. I'm not a zombie guy. I'm just not. And I actually worked out why watching this, why I'm not a zombie guy. And the reason I'm not is because zombie movies are very tired and very played out. It's very much the same story in a different setting. People stuck in one place or another with zombies coming after them, and they need to get from point A to point B to get supplies or to get to safety or to save someone. It's we must go through the zombies to survive the zombies. It's always that same story in every single zombie movie. This movie doesn't do that. So this movie, they get somewhere safe and they don't have to leave. They don't have to go and get Andy. They don't have to go to safety. But they make a decision based on the fact that they don't want to eventually die of old age in a shopping center, that they're going to do that. And that little tweak, I think, is what made me invest in this so much more. The development of the characters is brilliant. And the emotional trauma that they all suffer is very different for very different reasons. They make a very good point of showing that, like this person's suffering because they lost their dad and now they're attached to a dog. This person's suffering because he doesn't have his wild lifestyle anymore and he's stuck in a mall with people he doesn't like. Like they show all of these people's trauma and it's very unique to them. And I loved that. I also love the concept of taking all of these very different characters and slamming them into an environment where they have to get on. And in most other zombie movies, there is a dominant character and everyone kind of falls in line with that. And you'll get one outlier who's a bit of a dick who gives a bit of resistance. But in this, they all have equal stakes and equal like voices. There's no, like, as you said earlier, like the final girl drops back and there's other characters who take that lead role and they've all got their own motivations and it all works. And they do it in such a good way with this really engaging script that even manages to inject humor, like the bits where they're playing chess. Like there's bits in this movie that I laugh. It's done masterfully. This is now in my top zombie movies. It's up there in my top 5 if I've got 5. I really enjoyed this. This is a movie I will actually recommend to people who don't like zombie movies because I think this is one that will spin them round. For me, this is I'm the same as you. It's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close. It's a 4 or a 4.5 out of 5.
Solid.
Solid scores across the board.
I'm so glad you enjoyed this movie. I am so glad you actually watched it and enjoyed it because I've said to you for years, man, I've been like, seriously, watch the remake. It's so cool.
And I've just been like, nah, I'll pass.
I've got better things to do with my time. I'm like, no, dude, you actually haven't. Like, you haven't got better things to do with your time. Watch this movie. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it really is. A huge thank you to everyone for listening. We are going to be back next week. We have got guests next week, plural. Next week's going to be very interesting because we're covering a movie that I don't even know if it's horror, but it's horror enough that it's worked its way on. We're going to be covering The Mummy from 1999, the Rachel Weisz, Brendan Fraser action adventure / maybe a bit of horror movie. And we're going to be joined by the girls from the horror friendly podcast, Katie and Chantel. And if you've not listened to their show, they're members of the network and they are effectively me and Mark, but the opposite sex. So I have no idea what's going to happen next week. All I can tell you is it's going to be worth listening to. So until then, have a wonderful week. And yeah, I really like this song.
You want to die tonight?
Jokes you tell sets the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Marc's overblown roundups. You run podcasts for a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after I fled. But you run podcasts for a movie review, unveiling facts and playing games too.